Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my show. This is your man Mike, and today I want to have a very important discussion about a topic called ADOS FBA. And question: is it an age group? What is it about? What is it really all about? Well, it's very subjective. Everybody have different opinions and different. I've heard people talk about it a lot. I've seen it discussed a lot on the internet. I've seen all kinds of. I watch it grow from the beginning, and I actually predicted it was going to get to this point where, I mean, it wasn't really going to be funny. It's going to be. I predicted where we are today, probably 2 years ago. Now I decided to kind of talk about it, give my own two piece about it, just to kind of throw some knowledge, some wisdom out there. You know, because I mean, I'm not saying this because I'm personally affected or anything. I just thought I kind of put my own, opinion, and I think people can actually learn from what I'm really, from what I, where I see the whole situation. So basically, we have something called ADOS, we have something called FBA. So basically, ADOS actually started first and FBA came later. So now, as you all can see the two pictures I have on my screen here, the picture to my left is a picture of a man named Tyreek Nasheed, and the picture to my right is a lady named Yvette Cornell. Now, Yvette Cornell, she is the founder of the term ADOS, and the guy Tyreek Nasheed is the founder of the term FBA, which means Foundation of Black American, and ADOS means American Descendants of Slave. Now, ADO, like I said earlier, ADOS was created first. If Econet started the whole ADOS first, and then later on, Tariq Nasheed came along, started FBA. So today, it's kind of like both. It's a mix of same ideology, same goals, pretty much same character. And they have millions of followers. Now, what do I really want to touch? What do I really want to say about this is, are these guys really about anything? About, okay, this whole movement really falls under the claim that they want reparation from the U.S. government, and also that um, the division element in it, that they are Black American and they actually were the people that were on plantation, and they are different from people that came after that, other Black group that came after that. Okay, which is a legitimate, it's a we don't need to explain to anyone to know that, okay, yeah, there were blacks that were on the plantation in America, and then there were blacks that came later that became Americans and things like that. It's not a rocket science. But what I get out of this is these guys are they're playing a game called divide and conquer in a way where, hey, you just create a division, they create drama, and then people come to you, you get crowd, and then you get money, you make money out of it, basically. Now, I'm not saying these guys, well, let me not even go there. But the point I want to make today, I'll first use this African proverb that says that a society where there is no king, the criminals and the capitalists, we the sorry, let me say it again. Society where there is no king, the criminal and the capitalists of that society will capitalize on that situation and take over that position to exploit the people. So basically, when you look at the Black American society, you discover that there is no leadership in a sense. There is no fundamental leadership where, okay, that the entire population look up to for direction. And it's been the case for so long. It was the case right after, even when slavery ended, it was the case. And then after slavery, we had issues where some people were trying to occupy the space of leadership, were fighting hard to become leaders. And you had to the point like in the 60s or 50s or that era, where they call the civil rights eras, right? You had the people like Malcolm X, Nation of Islam, people like Martin Luther King. I mean, those people were genuinely trying to lead their people. And the people, what was noticed back then was that the people were so anxious and very enthusiastic in following those guys because they themselves knew that they need leadership so bad, and they were really massively following those group of people that were trying to lead them, jumping behind them and everything. And what happened later on was those group of people were assassinated. Many of them they were assassinated, and they were no longer around. And what happened after that was other people that felt that were genuinely, that genuinely felt that they could maybe fill those shoes and step up to lead the society were kind of afraid that they can suffer the same fate as those leaders. Well, maybe get killed and taken out. So those category of people decided to just kind of stand back and step in their shoes to lead. Now, what happened after that was a vacuum where there's no leadership. And then what became after that was you would have people that were, a lot of them accused of maybe, well, different accusation. Boy, what you have were people that were capitalists, just like I said in my proverb. If the in a society where there's no king or leadership, or where there's no king and elders, the criminals and the capitalists would take advantage of that situation. So what happened was you started having groups, different black people started trying to fill that space for their own personal selfish gains. I can name names such as, I mean, so many of them. Like, well, the popular ones we know were like people like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and basically what these people were doing was they came in a position because they wanted to make money, to capitalize, take advantage of the people, exploit the people. So now what they would do is just sell victimhood to the people, or stand there and just tell them like, okay, this is your enemy over there, and I'm fighting for you. I'm representing you. I'm your leader, and let's just attack this enemy. Let's, because of course it's easy to people always look for an enemy for their problem, a source for their problem, and it's easier to just point at something, and then just for people to recognize, okay, this is the object or element that's the cause of my problem, and just go and attack whatever that element is. So in the past, when you had the Al Sharpton and the Jesse Jacksons, what those people used to do back then was just tell the black Americans, like, listen, the source of all your problem is just white America, white people. And let's, I'm here to lead you to fight them. We're going to protest every time they shoot a black person is victimized by a white person. Get out there. We're going to fight them until they free us, until we, which what you call a handless, senseless, or handless battle. Basically, it's really not a fight. It's just a show. It's just a show. So these Ashok and Jesse Jackson did it for decades, decades. Fake leadership, just basically just rallying the people around, collect their donations, make money. So this group of these men, they made millions of their people, millions of their people, of just claiming to be leaders and rallying them around and collecting their donations, doing speeches. Now, what we have today is, it seems like that generation of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and many of them are they're getting old, they're retiring now. They no longer have the energy to continue doing what they're doing. So it looks like that space, it's like a vacuum in that space right now. Now, what we have now is like a new generation of people, capitalists, or I don't want to call them criminals, but I will assume they're criminals because anyone that exploits other people, I mean, to me, in my book, I would call it legal criminal. So what they're doing is basically not a crime, but it's just an exploitation, you know. It's just an exploitation, but in a legal manner, you know. So these guys, when Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson no longer, they were no longer relevant, no longer out there. I guess they're old, they're getting old, and it's hard to, they've made enough money, and it's time for them to go retire from the exploitation business that they do. Now there's no one in that space. So now what we have is group of new Black Americans coming to occupy, claim that, filling that space. So now when okay, let me go with what little happened about 2, 3 years ago was this lady called Yvette Cornell right here, and she had another guy named Antonio Moore. I forgot his Antonio Moore, something like that. Well, they call it Tone Talks. They both came and said, you know what? We need to find a new way to take over and start leading our people. Australia, just like the old generation were doing, and make money, become wealthy out of it. So now they wanted to start with attacking white people, and then what they began to discover was that this whole strategy of the Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson was getting played out in the sense that people are getting sick of the whole, oh, he's a white man, it's this and that. So now they had to come up with a new strategy. Now, what they came up with was, okay, let's try to rally people around something that they will all agree with. So they came up with the idea of reparation. And then another idea of saying, oh, because the popular tone that was going on in the past few years was that the Black immigrants, specifically coming from countries like Nigeria, countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and maybe Jamaica, that seems to be performing better than the Black American society, Black Americans in America. And a lot of white people were kind of poking in the face of not just white people, but people in general, just kind of rubbing in their face. Like, listen, why this other group of blacks, many born in America, just different ethnic group that are non-Black Americans, why they putting themselves up by the bushel, why they performing, going to school, getting degrees, and performing well economically, while you guys are sitting around complaining, doing this whole complaint about white man, white man, white man, the whole Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, talking points. So now, Yvette Cornell, when she decided to come up with her own new way strategy, she decided to say, okay, the two key points she's going to use will be to rally the people around reparation for slavery, and then turn them against, started beef or direct them against the other Black group in America as, okay, group that's here to undermine or get in their way, or making white people think they're not, what their struggles or whatever they do is not legitimate, and they just, kind of like just create this whole drama between these people and those people. Just find a new enemy. I don't know why, because people are kind of exhausted with all attacking white. So they need a new dog to attack. So they now created new enemy, which would be the Black immigrants from especially Nigerians and Caribbean countries as, or the new enemies of Black America. Or let's attack them, and then I'll be your leader. Just jump behind me, and then I'll lead you in the fight. And whenever I ask for donation, just give me all the donation for the discussion. I'll lead you on a fight for reparation and against these immigrants that are here to undermine us and things like that. So it's again. So if Econel started it, and Tony Moore started making a lot of money, and this guy, Tariq Nasheed, who was an ex-pimp, who was known to be a guy that was on the streets and used to pimp women, Under being a pimp, so he saw it as, oh, Yvette Cornell is pimping the Black community. Oh, since this is what I know how to do. I know how to pimp people. So I understand the pimp game, so let me jump on board. So initially, I thought he wanted to team up with them, join their clique to get a piece of the pie, But I get apparently it seems like the vet and some talks kind of they kicked him, they didn't want him to join, They didn't put him on board. So he decided to create his own version of ADOS and started FBA. And then um, started doing virtually pretty much the same thing the ADOS, Yvette Cornell and Tony Moms were doing. Oh, reparation and new enemy, the black immigrant, the Nigerians, the Ethiopians, the Africans, and the Caribbeans. Oh, they're the new enemy. They're coming over here. They're doing this. They're taking over. We lay the foundation for them. They're disrespecting us. So the way they push their propaganda is by maybe looking for one African person or Caribbean person that says something that's not so nice. Just an individual. They'll take the individual's comments or video, whatever, they post it and use it as a tool to convince their people that are listening. Look, that's what we're telling you. These people hate us. These people are our enemy. Let's go after them. Let's attack. They're undermining us. They're the new enemy, and I'm leading you in a fight. So John Valley behind me. Let's go to war with them. Let's fight them. Let's attack them. And just give me donation whenever I ask. I need donation for this. I need donation for that. So it's just exploitation game. So unfortunately, these guys are really making money. But there are people, well, they are just, I mean, the intelligent ones among them don't fall for it. But of course, the masses are very uneducated and very ignorant. So, they're looking for people to follow. So, of course, they're just going to follow whatever is out there to follow, whatever is presented to them. So, unfortunately, this is what we got going on. And now, the disaster is that the image of, because the internet is something that's global. Whatever we post on the internet is shown all over the world. It's seen all over the world. As I'm talking right now, people, someone in Europe, someone in Africa, someone in the Caribbean can be listening, watching. So it's very important that whatever you put on the internet shapes your image. So now, unfortunately for the African American people, the image outside of America was an image that people saw as very, I mean, positive for the most part, and a mixture of little negative as far as maybe the entertainment. Some part of the entertainment is kind of negative, like the gangster rap. But for the last part, it was more positive. People saw them as people that are, you know, good entertainers and from this superpower country, the United States. That their image was really largely just kind of positive in a way, in a lot of sense. But these guys now putting themselves out there with all these negative behavior, just with all the negativity. It's just that reputation is just kind of declining. It's just declining, especially within the you know continent of Africa and the Caribbeans and maybe Europe. I mean, what I see going on is in the long run, what they're doing is not going to hurt anybody except their people, because at the end of the day, there's nothing they're going to do about the the other black ethnic group in America, the Nigerians, the Caribbeans, and all the Africans. There's nothing, because Black America really don't have power to really shape any policy in the United States. They don't. So at the end of the day, the people, the other ethnic groups still exist. They're still going to do what they're doing. They're still going to move on, progress. And the reparation, that is something that's just, well, keep hope alive, but it's not something that's likely feasible. It's not something that's even looking that's feasible at all. Is it possible? Yes, possible, but it's not likely to happen. And at the end of the day, they may not get the reparation. Nothing is going to happen to the black group or the black ethnic group, the immigrants. The only thing that's going to end up happening is people are just going to have disdain for the Black American people, Black American society, and the image and the reputation of Black Americans will be so bad, become so terrible, and I hope it doesn't get worse than it is going right. It is right now. The reputation was so bad on the continent, it was so bad in the Caribbean countries, and perhaps even in Europe. So at the end of the day, capitalists. I always tell people it's very important. Leadership is very essential. It's very, very pivotal, very pivotal in a society. If your society don't have a leadership, huh, it's a dangerous game. Even on the continent of Africa, tribes that have turned their back on their kingships due to European bringing new ideas and telling them to, be individual and things like that. Those tribes usually end up with same things like warlords. Some capitalist or one criminal will just hijack a position of that tribe and lead them into some type of battle or some type of warfare that's unnecessary, just to make something, you know, make some wealth, make money for himself, just mislead the people and just for his own personal gain, personal, interest. So we had a similar situation in Nigeria, the Nigerian Civil War, where the Igbo population, the Igbo tribe, they kind of turned their back on the old traditional kingships, kings, and traditional leadership. They were becoming individuals, and everybody's just individual. And eventually, one guy named Ojuku decided to hijack their leadership position and just misled the entire tribe into a civil war against the entire nation. And at the end of the day, they all suffered a great loss. And the guy made his money and ran away, disappeared. So what's going to happen with this whole ADOS FBA thing is if Cornell and Tariq Nasheed are going to make a lot of money and they're going to move on, abandon the people to deal with the repercussion of the madness that they're creating, that they've created. So I just hope. But thankfully, some Black American intelligent want to start to wake up, stand up against these guys. Like, okay, listen, before you destroy our image, we're gonna fight back, man. Shout out to a guy named Brandon. Brandon, he has a channel called Pan African Strike Back. And the guy on a daily basis really, really, really trying to stand up against these guys. Like, hold on, before you ruin my image, before you ruin the image of my people, and ruin our image on the continent and everywhere all over the world, even in America, I'm gonna stand up against you. So he's doing a great job, kind of speaking out, exposing these guys, exposing what they're doing, and trying to wake his people up to not fall for this. What these guys are doing is nothing but divide and conquer, create division between their people and other people, and make money out of it, get rich out of it. That's what it is. That's what it is. But it's very important. My advice to people is in this life, if you cannot lead yourself, be very wise in picking your leader. Be very, very wise in picking who you're gonna follow. Because I said pick your mentors wisely. They always say that. Because some people you may choose to follow might lead you astray. It might lead you to your destruction. You know? And to me, I always tell people, trying to first of all figure a way to lead yourself. If you can't find a leadership, I mean, trying to figure a way to lead yourself. It's kind of like a human body. If I have to use as an analogy, right? The human body, you have different body part. You got the hand, legs, every part of your body, and then you got your head. Your head is your brain. Your brain is what leads, directs the rest of your body. And if you just ignore your brain, don't figure out ways to work on your brain, develop your mind, whether through reading books and sharpen your brain well to be able to direct where you want to go in life. If you just stay ignorant, don't take care of your brain, somebody else is gonna use his own brain to direct your brain, to control your body, and control where you go. Eventually, the person will be doing it for his own personal interest, might end up using you for his own come up and lead you to your own destruction. So it's very important. I always tell people, educate yourself, be smart, lead yourself. You don't need, sometimes you really don't need people to lead you, because there's too many people out there just sitting around waiting for somebody to go and lead them, to take them somewhere. And unfortunately, no one's going to take you anywhere for free unless it's just, someone chosen. Rare, the rare people in a population, they're willing to just make sacrifice to lead other people, you know. So if you're looking for leadership, be wise. Take your time to, and if someone is volunteering to lead you, be very careful, man. Take your time to study that individual. Because trust me, most likely the person is claiming to trying to lead you. It's not leading you for free. It's leading you for his own personal interest. And most likely it's not leading you for your own best interest. Especially when money is involved. The person might lead you astray. So let's be careful, guys. So I'm gonna end this broadcast here, and hopefully I'll make another video about this topic in the near future. I just thought I'd put it out there, so people be safe and have a wonderful time, and God bless.